Hello and welcome into Pat's Latest. I'm your host, Mike Gambardella, and on today's episode, we get the great news of Christian Gonzalez back at practice. What does that mean for his availability, and could we see him in Week 4 against the Carolina Panthers? An update on an old friend, Stephon Gilmore, and the Patriots potentially being after a cornerback, and is the defensive backfield maybe looking different with a player that is of a Super Bowl caliber, apparently back on the free agent market. And we look at Drake Maye thus far and where he ranks among the NFL's best. Before we get into everything, make sure you go down, subscribe for the channel, get in the comments, let us know what you think about Christian Gonzalez coming back. Is it too soon? The Patriots need to add to their defensive backfield. And where do you see Drake Maye in the NFL right now? Is he a top 15, top 10, top 5 quarterback? And what's his ceiling at the end of the day? Also, make sure you give us that like and go back and check out all of our old episodes after this one. We start by looking with the news of Christian Gonzalez finally returning to practice on Wednesday. The long road hopefully coming to an end as Christian Gonzalez was out there in a limited basis, but great to see him out on the practice field. And I think more importantly, him addressing one, that he feels good and he's ramping up, and actually said he wanted to play last week. And there was kind of rumor sentiment going around that he didn't want to play last week, that he felt that he wasn't ready and didn't want to play. And he really came against that, saying, I never not want to play football. And he pushed back against that narrative. And I think it's great to hear. I think it's just going to be even better to see him out there at the end of the day. And it will come down to a medical / coach's decision to say, one, is he cleared? Can he do any more damage to this hamstring? Is it fully back? Again, they're tricky injuries, and you need to be smart about it. But then kind of saying, okay, even if he is, do we want to give it one more week? What's the worst thing? Do you feel comfortable about the defensive backfield that you have? And do you feel comfortable about coming away with a potential win? I think only Mike Vrabel can answer that. And I think knowing what the schedule is, and with Carolina coming up, and seeing the Bills right after it, then having to go to New Orleans, even though the team is down, that's always a tough place to play. I think a trap game at the Titans. The Browns are proving to have one of the best defensive out there. That's, not a gimme stretch, but you want to make sure you get your wins right up front. So getting Christian Gonzalez back for the Panthers is the best case scenario, but the coaching staff and medical staff will ensure that he is ready to go before getting him out there potentially this Sunday. Also, the Patriots are in the market for a cornerback. We know this because New England is actively on that market, and that they contacted the Titans actually in an attempt to trade for cornerback Jarvis Brownlee. He was eventually traded to the Jets earlier this week, and was done so for a 6th-round pick. It could have been had if the Patriots wanted to probably go up to a 5th, but decided against doing so. And I think, unfortunately, after Alex Austin's struggles, Marcus Jones has kind of stepped up, and it's clear the Patriots need help at cornerback, and hopefully Christian Gonzalez might be enough. But if it isn't, could old friend Stephon Gilmore actually be an option? At 34, he is still a free agent and is interested in signing with the team and wants to find the right situation. Now, obviously, at 34, probably wants one of two things, and that's either a big payday or a chance to compete in the playoffs. Remains to be seen whether he would get either of those in New England, but he was the 2019 NFL Defensive Player of the Year, obviously won a Super Bowl with the Patriots, a 2-time first-team All-Pro and 5-time Pro Bowler. Those usually aren't out there for very long. Again, at 34 at cornerback, I think this would be a stretch. You're seeing a lot of it on social media here these days. And I think it would probably make more sense towards the end of the season if you really needed just an extra presence around some younger guys that are trying to come together. I think right now, someone like Jarvis Brownlee would make more sense, specifically at the cornerback position. But I think if there ever came a point where you're looking for more of the leadership, giving a couple extra plays in there and trying to come up with those clutch moments, Remains to be seen, how much is left in the tank for Gilmore, but look for that to be more of an internet rumor than something that will actually come to fruition for the Patriots. One big name that is on the free agent market and a surprise cut here by the Houston Texans is CJ Gardner-Johnson. Gone. Just decide they were not going to have this one work. Play after just 3 games, and obviously the Texans having a really tough go of it, losing all 3 of those. Since the playoff expansion format, no team starting 0-3 has made the playoffs, so the deck stacked against the Texans. And the Texans actually traded their former 2022 first round draft pick to get Gardner Johnson. So giving up a recent draft pick and Kenyon Green, who went to the Eagles at left guard, giving that up back in March and hoping that CJ really became that defensive maker for them on the back end of their defense. He had 6 interceptions just a year ago and helped the Eagles to a Super Bowl title, but he's had a few different miscues in each game. He's playing a different scheme. They were more in that cover 2 zone, had trouble kind of picking up which side. He's more of a ball hawk and gets after it, wants to blitz and do things, and that is more of what Mike Vrabel's defense likes to do. I think there is no connection at this time. The Patriots have not reached out. And I think the Patriots do like what they have in Jalen Hawkins and Craig Woodson here as well. So while it might not be a fit, again, Vrabel has often said all along, he wants to always look at what's best for the football team. And I think someone that has the talent level of someone like CJ Gardner-Johnson, why wouldn't you pick up the phone to at least have a conversation? Obviously, Eagles fans are clamoring for him to go back to Philadelphia, and probably would make more sense for him at the end of the day. Nick Sirianni said he likes who he has in the safety room at this time. But again, don't be surprised if he does end up back in Philadelphia. But hopefully the Patriots are still doing their due diligence here, because again, this is a very talented football player, even though he's had some miscues. There was apparently some locker room issues as well. So wanting to be mindful of who you're bringing in. Age, obviously, when it comes to someone like Gilmore, the locker room issues, someone like CJ Gardner-Johnson. But again, do you want somebody who's pulling off somebody's practice squad and seeing if they can get up to speed, or do you, at the end of the day, really push talent level? And that's what you'd like to see, as long as your culture can fit it. Speaking of the leader of the culture in the Patriots locker room, that is Drake Maye. And through 3 games, Drake Maye has admitted you haven't seen his best football, and that's in spite of being top 5 in the NFL with nearly 800 passing yards through 3 weeks. He wants to put it all together, and he was asked about having these accolades, ranking 3rd in expected pass situations behind only Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and he said wins are important to me. So again, he continues to say all the right things. But I think as you look at it, Drake Maye, we've known, you take a top 3 quarterback, you expect him to be able to acclimate quickly in the NFL, and he's absolutely doing that. He doesn't have a full season's worth of starts under his belt yet. But again, I think you can make the case that he is a top 10 quarterback right now in the NFL. And I think if you reverse order this thing and you look at guys like Spencer Rattler and, Browning, who are forced into some situations, would be towards the end of that list. Guys like Carson Wentz would be, near the back of that, coming in for J.J. McCarthy right now. Joe Flacco in the twilight of his career. Tua Tagovailoa obviously having a very tough go of it. Jackson Dart, who is now taking over for Russell Wilson. Who knows what you're going to get out of him. Justin Fields was injured. Obviously, he does a lot with his legs, but, has questions as a passer. And Aaron Rodgers, again, another guy who's got his last year or two here in the NFL. That brings you from 32 to 25. I think Daniel Jones is having a fantastic year, but anyone would be surprised to see him continue that throughout. So I think you'd keep him down fairly low in the ranking system. Same would go for Sam Darnold, who had a great year last year, but now having to prove it again in Seattle. Michael Penix, another valued rookie, but having a tough go. would keep in that general area. Geno Smith, have a guy who continues to put up numbers, but maybe not in that same, stratosphere as the other ones. But you could put him in with number one overall pick Cam Ward right now, Bryce Young, who is a former number one pick overall as well, trying to find his way in the NFL, and CJ Stroud, who is struggling through his start of the season, but has proven he can do well. So that brings you to the top 20 mark. If you start putting in, Bo Nix not looking as good as he did last year. Trevor Lawrence has been up and down, and suddenly now you have Drake Maye is in the top 15. Now you can start making the case. I think everyone else you can pretty much say, look, you're going to put him ahead. Now you could start making cases back and forth. Dak Prescott, would you do it? His contract says yes, he should be, but maybe not the production or the decision making right now. Brock Purdy made it to a Super Bowl, has the contract to back it up, is injured, can make that case one way or the other. Kyler Murray, electric on the field, makes some questionable decisions, another former number one overall pick. Which would you rather have right now? Jordan Love, another guy, got paid, continues to play well in the Green Bay system, but is the talent level the same? Would you take Drake Mays over that? Now suddenly you have top 11, and for me, there's a grouping of Caleb Daniels, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake Maye, and how you want to put these guys 9, 10, 11. Are you looking at production? And you would say Jaden Daniels went to an NFC championship game last year. Are you looking at overall talent? Caleb Williams supposed to be this transcendent player, and was the number one overall pick in the same class. And then you have Drake Maye there as well. So again, I think preferentially what's working for your system, you could make your case for these guys one way or the other. And then for me right now, the top 8 in the NFL, you have your tried and true guys, your Jared Goffs, your Matthew Stafford. You have Baker Mayfield, who continues to surprise and just play at a fantastic level. You have Jalen Hurts, who is not your traditional quarterback, right? He's not going out there throwing for 400 yards or ripping it 40 times, but just makes the right decision, uses his legs, and leads his team to a Super Bowl. I think the biggest sender, and someone I've always had high on my list, has been Justin Herbert, and he's showing why right now. And for me, is jumping over Hurts for that number 4 spot. And then the usual trio of Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. I think the two at the top, just on production wise, Mahomes has had some down seasons, but has shown that he is perhaps, when we look back, going to be the best of this bunch. We'll need to add to his legacy here a little bit more, and he's had a tough go with just receivers to throw to recently. But again, there's your quick ranking of 32 NFL quarterbacks. I think it is mildly surprising to be able to say it's not just top 15 quarterback for Drake Maye right now, but he has a case for top 10. And if we look at potentially doing this list again in, say, 4 weeks, could he potentially start to jump some of those other guys? I think it could be tough, just knowing how good Detroit is, how good the Rams are, how much Baker just continues to run roughshod over people. But again, so I think right now, if you said Drake Maye would be a top 10 quarterback at the end of his second season, I'm starting to say there's a case you can make it for right now, and that's only a few starts into his NFL career. Not bad for what the Patriots have. Again, watching these games has been tough. Some questionable decisions here and there, penalties, missed assignments. You're seeing a lot of it, but at the end of the day, they are in these games. They're not just getting run out of the building. They're not shying away. They're finding ways to get back into it. Yes, they may not be coming away with the victories, but I think that bodes well for what you're able to do and match up against Carolina. Again, you got to do it when you get out on the field, and we'll see what happens, but interested to see how quickly they can acclimate around someone like Drake Maye, who clearly has the talent level to lift everyone else up with him. That'll do it for us here on this episode of Pat's Latest. Again, make sure you go down and subscribe for the channel to get all the latest info in your inbox. Get in the comments. Let us know where you think Drake Maye should be ranked among the quarterbacks right now. what help they need in the defensive secondary for the Pats, and Christian Gonzalez enough to make up for those shortcomings thus far. Also, give us that like and go back and check out all of our old episodes so you know exactly what's going on with your Pats. We'll have it all for you right here. Fight on, Foxborough.